Yes, you lot, welcome back to the Louis Talks Footy channel. Before I get into today's video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. It massively helps me out. Right, today we're doing a Newcastle versus Man City preview. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Etihad Stadium, obviously at home. And every game between now and the end of the season is a must win. So City have to go out there and put in a big performance and get a big result against Newcastle. Obviously, City have the wind in their sails at the moment. We have the momentum for the first time in this Premier League campaign. Because for the whole season, Arsenal have been the dominant side and they've been favourites for the title, whereas now people are looking at it and starting to think that City could snatch this title away from Arsenal as they're beginning to bottle it and drop points each week. I think that's huge for Manchester City, knowing that Arsenal are dropping points. Obviously, Brentford, it was 2-2 against Wolves. Conceded a last-minute equaliser, again 2-2 to bottom of the league. So this could be, again, another second-place finish for Arsenal. I don't know how many second places that is now, but it's way too many. People are going to be asking questions about Mikel Arteta if he doesn't win the Premier League this season. So it's City's job to make sure we keep picking up our wages every single week to keep the pressure on Arsenal and keep that points gap as small as possible. So Newcastle this weekend is obviously a massive part of that. If you look at the head-to-head between Newcastle and Man City, the last time Newcastle won at the Etihad was in about 2014. I think they beat us 2-0. And they don't tend to pick up many points against Manchester City. In all our games combined, City have won 28, Newcastle have won 4, and they've drawn 4. But we've already played Newcastle 3 times this season, twice in the Carabao Cup and once in the Premier League. In the Premier League, we went away to St James's Park, lost 2-1. It's a very disappointing performance. It all felt very flat, and we obviously didn't get the result in the end. I think Barnes scored 2. He was having a blinder. And then obviously the Carabao Cup as well, that was more recent. We beat him 2-0 in the first leg at St James's Park, and then beat him 3-1 in the return leg at home. We absolutely battered them in the first half, and in the second half they kind of grew into it a little bit, got a goal. We looked a little bit shaky, but we still got through in the end and still beat them overall 5-1 on aggregate. So if you're asking me who's going to win the game, it's definitely going to be Manchester City. I can't really see Newcastle picking up points here. They went to Azerbaijan midweek and played Karabag. They beat him 6-1, but to be honest, I wouldn't trust Karabag to stay up in League 2. So I don't really think that game was too challenging for them, so I don't think we can take much from that game. Prior to that, I think they beat Spurs 2-1 away, and they also beat Villa. I think that was 3-1 away as well. So they've had some good results recently. I think their away form this year as well has been terrible, so the fact that they went to Spurs away and Villa away and got points is quite big for them. They're currently sat 10th in the table and City is sat 2nd, as we know, 5 points behind Arsenal. We've still got a game in hand to play, so effectively we're about 2 points behind them if we win our game in hand. But City are also on decent form in the Premier League. We beat Liverpool 2-1 at Anfield. That was massive for this side, and we also beat Fulham 3-0 the other week. Absolutely smashed them, blew them away in the first half. Just touching on that Liverpool game, I think that was a massive moment, a big sliding doors moment for this squad. Obviously a young squad, there's a few winners in there still with the likes of Ruben Diaz, Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva. But then we've got some younger players that haven't experienced winning at Manchester City before, like Kushnerov. So we're in a bit of a transition year, but I feel like that win against Liverpool would have given these lot a taste of winning at Manchester City and potentially give them the momentum to go on to get some consecutive wins together in the back end of the season, the business end of the season, where Manchester City normally come alive and normally beat Arsenal to the title at this point in the season. So that just goes to show how important this game against Newcastle is. We can't really afford to be dropping any points, especially when we're closing the points gap on Arsenal. It's hugely important that we go and win this game and don't make that points gap any bigger. Also, like I mentioned, all the pressure is on Arsenal at the moment. All the eyes are on Arsenal. They drop points to Brentford, they drop points to Wolves, and everything's kind of looking quite good at Manchester City at the moment. We've had some good wins together. Like I say, we beat Fulham, we beat Liverpool at Anfield. The eyes are off City at the moment. The last thing we want to do is go and drop points to Newcastle, and then the media saying that City haven't got what it takes and everything to win the league. So on to my predicted lineup. In net, I'm going to go with Donnarumma. Right back, Matheus Nunes. Obviously, there might be shouts for Kushnerov as well. He's done very well when he's been called upon for Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola likened him to Kyle Walker as well in terms of the pace and the recovery tackles that he puts in. But I'm going to go with Nunes just because he's been solid there all season. Centre-back partnership, I'm going to go with Diaz and Guehi. Diaz, I think we've missed him since he's been injured. Obviously, he commands the players on the pitch like a proper leader, a captain, and I think we have missed that in him since he's been injured. Next time, I'm going to go with Mark Guehi. This guy's not put a foot wrong since he joined Manchester City. It was an unreal signing from Crystal Palace. Obviously, he was about 20 million, and like I say, he's literally not put a foot wrong. He's done so well. His ball playing ability is immense. Playing balls over the top to the likes of Omar Marmoush, Semenyo, Haaland. He's really good at that, so Guehi gets in there straight away. I feel like he's a proper Rolls Royce of a centre-back. The likes of Van Dijk and Rio Ferdinand kind of come to mind when when I'm watching Guehi. Just the way he plays the game, spraying balls over the top, his tackling. He just has a presence and a feel of a proper Rolls Royce like Rio Ferdinand and Van Dijk, like I just mentioned. Next to him, I'm going to go with Ryan Aït-Nouri. Nico O'Reilly's played the majority of games at left back this season, but Aït-Nouri of recent has kind of made that position his own, and he's done well there, so I'm going with Ryan Aït-Nouri at left back. That brings me on to the midfield. I'm going to go with Rodri in the DM, and the next midfielder spot's going to Nico O'Reilly. This guy can kind of have a free role because he literally seems to be cropping up here, there, and everywhere. You know, he can drop back into DM and help out with Rodri. He also sometimes drifts onto the left wing, kind of, you know, high flying around the box. So Nico O'Reilly gets in. He's just been so solid there, and his transition from left back to midfield has been so seamless. And then also in there, I'm going with Bernardo Silva just for the champion winner mentality, the dog mentality that he brings to Manchester City. We saw it at Anfield against Liverpool, getting the goal, picking out of the back of the net, and then going again. You know, Bernardo Silva was proper standout in that game, and I think he's been solid all year. People have choice words to say about Bernardo Silva. I completely disagree. I think he's great, and I definitely want him starting in the back end of the season, the business end of the season, where he knows how to win. On the right wing, I'm going to go with Ryan Cherki. Might be shouts for Phil Foden, but I just don't think he's been good enough this year. I think he's been a bit flat, and I'm just not totally inspired by Phil Foden. On the left, I'm going to go with Antoine Semenyo. Again, like Guehi, since he's come in, he's not really put a foot wrong. Maybe had a few shaky halves or a few shaky moments against Spurs in that second half. He wasn't that good. But overall, his output has been absolutely unreal, and that's what we've wanted from our wingers for quite a long time. You know, people got onto Doku for not getting the output, and now we've got Semenyo in who is getting the output, and people seem to be getting onto him for not being more involved in play all the time like Doku is. You know, Doku gets the ball on the left, and he's constantly causing trouble, but maybe not getting the goals and assists that Semenyo does. And Semenyo isn't really involved all the time, not a constant threat. Or when he does get a chance to score a goal, he scores it. So, yeah, listen, Semenyo is a bit of a no-brainer. I'm going with him at left wing. On to score predictions now. I think City are going to beat these lot 3-0. Newcastle haven't looked that good at all this season. I think City can nullify them in the attack. And I think our attack at the moment is very good. So I feel like we can go out on Saturday night, get a few goals, hopefully put it to bed quite early, pick up our 3 points, and then put the pressure on Arsenal for their game against Spurs on Sunday. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy. Get your score predictions in the comments as well, and I'll see you lot in a bit.